Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, we're going to go over how to help the avoidant really understand their feelings for you, to really make yourself be adjusted to how the avoidant individual perceives love so that you guys can get the love that you're looking for while them also recognizing that they are crazy about you. And when I mean adjusted, I don't mean that you're going to change yourself and you're manipulating them or that you're the only person doing the work. Absolutely not. This is actually for you to receive the love that you deserve and for them to be able to give you love in a way that's more palatable to them. It helps both sides. And avoidant individuals can start learning to manage their expectations of you and also modify themselves for you as well. So it works both ways. So I never expect individuals to do this for somebody who doesn't want to do the work. But to be completely honest, you could do these things. And even if your partner isn't doing the work, there will be some shift where they will start still being crazy about you and loving you and being attached to you. But it's whatever you guys want. But we're going to go ahead and jump right in. In the very first one, I think a lot of y'all probably expected this, but it's managing your own emotions. I'm not saying don't ever show emotions. I am not. But I am saying if you manage some of your emotions internally instead of externally, especially if you're an anxious, preoccupied, but even fearful, avoidant, leaning anxious. Avoidant individuals will become very attached to you and recognize that you can manage your emotions and that's what they value. And this is for both dismissive and fearful leaning dismissive. But the reason why this works so well, they become very attached, almost obsessive towards you in a good way, not in a weird way. Because when you manage your emotions, that's how they were taught that shows love and respect, right? Their parents, especially dismissive avoidants, basically told them sometimes directly, but also indirectly, that if you want to respect me, you're going to stop crying. If you're going to be the person that you are supposed to be, if you're going to show up as a good man or a good woman, you're not going to cry. You're my oldest son. You're my oldest daughter. You're whatever X, Y, and Z. And so managing emotions is a sign of respect. I respect my mom. I respect my dad. I'm going to put away my emotions. And that's their wound. I'm not saying for you guys to put away your emotions, but when you manage your emotions a little bit more, when you remain more calm, when you remain more collected, avoidant individuals actually take you more seriously because that's how they were taught that they're supposed to be. And so they translate that as to something they can recognize, right? It comes from their wound. But in order for you to connect with an avoidant individual, sometimes you have to meet them halfway, right? So for example, the flip side, if an avoidant individual wants to really make an anxious, preoccupied feel loved, give reassurance. It's not that big of a deal. It shouldn't be. An anxious preoccupied is not saying you have to text them 20 times a day. That's not what they're asking. They're just saying, can you hear me the first time so that I don't have to repeat it so many times? I don't have to feel ignored. If you just call me 5 minutes before bed, I will be okay. And that shouldn't be a lot. And some people might think it is, but if you lean into that as an avoidant, you're speaking the anxious, preoccupied language. So now they understand they feel loved. Vice versa. When you manage your emotions, you're showing the avoidant individual, I'm speaking your language. This is how you feel loved. And they become so attached to you because they thought they would never get stuff like this. And so when you manage your emotions, they realize, okay, love really does work for me. I want to love you because this feels good. You manage your emotions, I manage my emotions, and then slowly you start leaning in, okay? The next one is somebody who doesn't play games. Avoidant individuals get very confused when there's a lot of dynamics where you're trying to manipulate somebody or you're trying to get them jealous, and sometimes they're not really sure how to react. And so what ends up happening is they actually might pull away because they're feeling emotionally very, very overwhelmed. But if you are not playing games, you're managing your emotions, you're still being yourself, but you're managing your emotions and you're not playing games, you're probably communicating very directly. They start seeing you as somebody who's very comfortable with who they are. They see you as someone who has self-esteem. They see you as someone they can respect. They see you as somebody who they want to learn from, they want to model from, and they become very attached to you because they see you as that figure of their parents, of themselves, who they want to be, right? They want to be cool and collected, and they don't play games. And some avoidants do play games, right? But they're seeing that you're everything they want to embody, and they hope that they will have in a partner. And so if you're all of those things, they become incredibly attached to you, not from just a romantic perspective, but from a role model perspective. Like they want you in every single way. And that's what you want. You want your partner to be many variables to your life. They add to your life. You're adding to them. You're showing them I can be mature. I can manage my emotions. I can communicate well. and I can be myself while still adjusting for you. And they're going to start mimicking that, okay? The next one is that you see positive in your life instead of negatives. Avoidant individuals, whether they admit it or not, they're actually very negative folks, okay? They might say something like, relationships are too difficult, right? They might say something like, all marriage does is wreck you. I remember my father, who is dismissive avoidant to this day, I remember he would always say, all marriages is somebody moving into your house and taking your space, taking your house, taking your money, telling you what to do. I remember he would always say that that's all marriage is. That's not what you want. Always negative. I remember another thing he would say is he would say something along the lines of, you're all by yourself. No one's ever going to rescue you. No one's ever going to save you. That's what he always told me. And he's very, very avoidant. Most people are not as avoidant as he is. Like, he hasn't had a relationship, even hook up, in like 20 years. Like, he's very avoidant. So not everyone is as extreme, but I notice with my patients as well, I'm a practicing therapist, that a lot of them have very negative views of love. Some might even say something like, in general, they're very negative in general. Like, what's the point of doing this? I might as well work alone, right? My boss is so stupid. Like, he or she doesn't understand anything, right? They're so negative about everything often. They don't realize it, and they're very moody. So when you're very positive, actually it makes them feel more positive in general because you're an influence to them. They start feeling like you're very magnetic. They get magnetized to you. You're positive. You're not gonna let anyone take you down. You're happy. You do what you have to do. You mention things like, yeah, my boss is frustrating too, but at the end of the day, I'm getting paid. I know I'm a good worker, and I get to go home and do my thing. Like, I think my boss is annoying, but I still appreciate it. You start reframing their mind. They start being less negative. And what ends up happening is, first of all, they become very attached to you. But second, they start realizing life's not that bad. I don't need to fight this battle all by myself. I'm not some independent person climbing like a mountain. It doesn't have to be that hard. Put your walls down a little bit. They start seeing that, right? The next thing is a person who lets go of little things. If you do this, they become so obsessed with you because you're not holding on to the little things and you can appreciate them. So they feel like, I am a good partner. I know what I'm doing because my partner is letting go of some of the things. And when I mean little things, that's up to you to decide. Something can be very little to one couple, and that could be very serious to another. So you guys establish what little things are. Because I had one couple I was working with, I think yesterday or the day before, where they were fighting over keeping a towel on the floor, like throwing the towel on the floor. And one partner is like, oh, I'll get it at the end of the day. I'll put it in the hamper. The other one is like, why do you even throw it on the floor? Right? And that's not a little thing to them, because this is something that now it's transformed to such a case where it's not about the towel anymore. It's about, why don't you listen to me? And the other one is, why don't you let me be myself? Right? And so that little thing is actually something deeper. But a little thing might be, maybe you're upset that your partner, I don't know, they take a little longer to answer the text message, but at least they reply. Whatever your difference is, if they take a couple hours, maybe that's annoying, but if they take an hour or two, maybe that's something to let go of. It depends on your relationship, but that's just an example, okay? Not a one size fits all. The next one is you give them space without being distant. You're consistent. You give them space while being consistent. You're still there for them, but it's not like you give them space all the time, right? You still have to get your needs met. But let's say they had a long day. You can say, I have no problem giving you space. I think that you had a long day. Let me know if you want to chat or if you want to talk, but I'm just giving you a little bit of space, but I'm here for you. Whatever it may be. You're approaching it in a way where it's normal. It's okay that you need some space. I don't think you're a flawed individual. And they start feeling like, wow, you accept me for who I am. Let me accept you. Let me lean in too. Let me show you everything I can, right? That starts happening. It really does. The next one, this one's kind of interesting because I think a lot of people don't recognize that this actually does reflect how avoidants see you, even though it has nothing to do with the relationship directly, okay? It's that you navigate your own life with curiosity and steady confidence. I'm not saying over the top confidence, but you're just navigating your own life. I want to, let's say somebody's saying, I want to go back to school and finish my bachelor's degree. You start being, just like we were saying, positive. You start being this curious person. You start believing. You're showing that you're a trusting individual. A lot of secure, attached individuals do this. They're trusting. I want to remodel my kitchen. I know it's a little expensive, but maybe it'll make me happy. Like, you're starting to be curious. You're steady with confidence, and you start teaching avoidant individuals, you don't need to be so uncomfortable with uncertainty. You don't need to be so controlling about your space and time. You're starting to show them this is, life is okay. Life is nice. It's not something you have to always control. You can let go your walls. You can stop being so rigid. And obviously, you're not saying that directly, but you're modeling it, right? I've mentioned this before a lot, but in the area I'm in, Christianity is a very common, conflict, but it's also common just in general. Like couples might conflict about different religious perspectives because maybe one is more Christian than the other from their perspective, right? But a common thing is a lot of individuals, maybe they want their avoidant individual to be more religiously leaning. Maybe that'll make them happy. Instead of saying, hey, you're not going to church or X, Y, and Z, they speak religion to them. I'm very blessed that we have each other. I pray about you every night. And it's not excessive, but it might mention, for Easter, I'd like you to come over. Let's do a prayer. So you're inspiring them. You're not telling them, hey, there's something wrong with you. It's very similar. You're becoming curious and steady, confident. You're inspiring them to be a little come out of their shell a little bit, and they start getting really crazy about you because you're the reason they feel so good. They can't feel this good without your element, without your influence, and they love that, right? The next one is you validate their emotions. Hey, you know what? I know I was being a little nitpicky yesterday. I had a really bad day. Thank you for letting me know. Validate them. You know what? I know that I can be a little clingy when I'm on my menstrual cycle, and I'm going to try and work on it. But I hope that it's something that's hormonal. I can't control, but thank you for telling me, right? So it doesn't mean you have to say, you're right, I'm going to change everything. You're validating them, you're meeting them halfway, and you're still expecting them to hear you as well, okay? The next one is you talk about yourself in a way where you are like, you talk about yourself, about what you're doing in your life in a way that you want to connect and express yourself. I'm trying to explain it. It's basically like you're talking about yourself in the things that's going on in your life in a way where you're embodying connection, and you're encouraging conversation without saying things to try and please your partner. So you're allowing them to hear more about you. Because an issue that I see a lot happen in couples is sometimes one individual, typically the more anxious or fearful, leaning anxious, they stop talking about themselves, and they just let the avoidant talk or take lead or take charge because they're afraid that what they're saying doesn't matter as much. I want you guys to start leaning away from putting yourself on the back burner and start leaning into putting yourself in the forefront, because avoidant individuals, they respect that about people. And so they actually become more attached to you when you do that. So an example could be, let's say you went on a trip with your buddy, or a girls trip this weekend or last weekend. You're telling your partner in a way where it's like you're inviting them into your world, a part of you that isn't attached to them. Of course, you guys might be in a relationship, but there'll always be little variables that are attached to other people. So you're saying, we had this amazing trip. We went to X, Y, and Z. We saw this. We took photos. We tried this restaurant. So you're just telling them and sharing with them who you are, and they're seeing more sides of you. And they get to see that part of you that they probably fell in love with when you guys were acquaintances. You're showing them that side that, I still can go out. I still do what I need to do. And they start recognizing, I don't need to take this person for granted. This person has a whole life, and I want to be part of that, okay? The next one is a person who's non-judgmental. Avoidant, this is probably the most important one. Avoidant individuals just absolutely love people who are non-judgmental. Actually, that's why they tend to really like fearful and anxious partners, because overall, you guys are not very judgmental folks. Unless you guys get very upset, by nature, you're not. And so they really love that safety. And so try to remain non-judgmental, and understanding that if you do say something judgmental, you can take it back. You know what? I shouldn't have said that. I was really upset. Thank you for letting me know. Non-judgmental, okay? And the very last one is you introduce your partner to new experiences, right? You show them a different way to live life. And so that they don't always, it doesn't mean you change them. You just do things with them. Maybe you want to go kayaking. Maybe you want to, I don't know, go to a soap making soap making class, a cooking class, something. You do something together that can build those new experiences and also allow them to see you as a person that doesn't need them, you want them. And that's how avoidants love. Avoidant individuals do not need people, they want them. And so when you translate it that way, they actually start hearing you, okay, you love me, I love you, this is valuable. You're not going to try and change me. You're just trying to add to my life. You're not trying to hurt me. You're trying to make me feel like I'm a better version of myself. They start seeing that in a more positive light, okay? I hope this video was helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.